So here we are.
Here we are.
Again. Episode number 5.
Episode number 5. We're still here. You've come in shorts this week and no hat. We did run a poll, didn't we, on the hat? Actually, most people liked it last time.
I got one brutal comment.
Did you?
Oh.
What did you get?
It said on the lines of, maybe try another hat. I'm like, I don't think that was a compliment.
Yeah, there were some other suggestions of hats, actually. We may do a poll now on which hat you should wear for upcoming episodes. So just to give you a heads up, that might be coming.
Can we do one for shorts as well?
Certainly can. You love a poll. We may as well. Acceptable.
I'm basically feeling kind of naked today. I've got no hat and no shorts on. It's like, what's next? This podcast has got a bit weird.
That's it. Well, episode 5 of the Generate pod. We're talking about all things Web3 and AI.
Yep.
We're talking about building a new agency as we do it. Why are we doing a new agency again? Anyone ask that question?
No one's asked the question, but it's a perfect time to build a new business in a cost of living crisis and potential recession.
Exactly.
Perfect time.
After 20 years in digital, in agency land, and 18 months ago, I said I was never going to do this again.
I said it 3 months ago. And look where we are. What happened?
Exactly.
But it's been fun, isn't it? Having a good time doing it. Good energy about running a business. It's always fun at the start, isn't it? But quite quickly things get serious because, clients are coming in and we're working with some big clients. But I think the key thing is keep it lean, keep it interesting, and add tons of value to our clients, right?
Completely, yeah. And in that sort of spirit building public, I think, we had a session the other day. We're 6 weeks in. We've won a client, which is great. We've got 5 or 6 really good opportunities out there that look pretty good.
Yep.
But we did a session the other day where we sort of went back and went, hold on a minute, as we're getting busier, what's important? And you made a good point, which was, let's stay true to the personality of the brand that we originally wanted to create, which was, energetic, humorous, provocative, playful, cheeky, and sort of informative at the same time, and not to lose touch of that. And I think that was really good, actually. That was really good.
And have we done that?
Come back to that. I think we have, yeah.
We've had a few good comments on LinkedIn anyway.
We started this podcast with a reference to a poll about a hat you were wearing last time. So,
or not wearing.
Possibly you're not wearing, yeah. I think we've done all right, haven't we?
That's important, isn't it? Business shouldn't be boring, right?
Yeah.
That's the key thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's plenty of boring businesses out there. We're not those guys. But ultimately, that's playful. We like playing around the edges and kind of being a little bit impactful, a little bit kind of fun. But it's, it's all business when we're talking business, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. And we revisited our culture manifesto that we have written before we've even hired anybody. And I think that's just because, our belief is that, you build a culture one way or another. It's either intentionally or unintentionally. You're going to build one, right? So you may as well be intentional about it and build something that reflects what you want and what you think will deliver most value to clients and to the people who join it in this world. So we have a little culture manifesto. It's something that we're going to hire on, but a couple of things in that, I think, which we were talking about the other day, we're interested around, focusing on the right things and having that as part of our culture. We're in a world where it's super hard not to get distracted. Yeah. There's 1,000 new
shiny new thing
the whole time, isn't there?
Yeah.
And what you focus on, and maybe it's Pareto's law, or it's the 20% that delivers 80% of the results, which we sort of built a little habit in of coming back to, is really, really important.
Yeah, consistency is a big part of that, which is tricky, isn't it? We've got so many, and particularly in exponential tech land where we are, there's always something new to look at, right? How many generative tools have been launched this year? It's in the thousands. We stopped counting in, I think, April, wasn't it? And it was into the 3,000 kind of area. Yeah. So there is that. But keeping focus is important. And actually, as you build a business, just revisiting the principles, why we started it, how we want to operate as individuals, as a business, and what we want to offer our clients. Just kind of focusing on that. Yeah. And like you say, the Pareto, the 80-20, the focusing on the key things that help are where we're going, right?
Yeah. And I think as you scale, as you grow, as you add more people to a team, even small teams, if everybody's doing that, it creates a lot of momentum. And Kipchoge was the guy, I think I pronounced his name right, who broke the 2-hour marathon. And he had a great little quote when he was asked about his success. He was like, get your vitamin N. And they were like, what's that? Your vitamin N is what you say no to. because that will determine where you end up. And I like that a lot. I think that's a good thing for us to bake into our culture.
It is, and it's not illegal, which is brilliant. As far as we know.
Well, the rest of your ideas were, yeah. So
vitamin N is good, but it is important, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that is actually quite a good truism, isn't it? As you build and scale. And I think we've probably both been in businesses, or certainly worked with businesses, where as they get bigger, the kind of the North Star or the direction gets a little bit waylaid. And coming back to that principle, and also part of that is actually saying, no, you're right. What do you focus on? What are the key impacts? And that works for our clients as well as us, right? The things that we focus on, not going too wide, ignoring all the noise around generative, all those brilliant but just distracting. Make 10,000. We're looking at something earlier. Make $10,000 tomorrow by building a SaaS product. Or come on, that's an ad revenue play. That's not. You're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So there's lots of that around. So we have a lot of the conversations we're having quite regularly, of course, is to advise the clients to ignore that, because it's quite easy to get caught up in it, particularly for people coming to you every 2 minutes with a new idea about something or other.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Focus is key, and vitamin N is a great way of putting it.
Exactly. Anything else on building in public?
It's been going well. The feedback's been good. Obviously, we've been doing quite a lot of talks, quite a lot of webinars and roundtables and so on. And the feedback's been good. I think people are kind of finding it quite refreshing, because there's lots of big agencies out there, big businesses, holding companies. But we've taken the opposite view. We've taken the lean, nimble, impactful view, and that's the thing we want to keep as we get bigger and bigger and as we grow.
Yeah, definitely. Good. Okay. So, next section.
Section.
This is your audience favourite, this section. Bad AI.
Bad AI.
Bad AI. What have we got this week? First up.
There's so many bad AIs out there. It really is. Well, this is interesting. So, recently, Netflix. We all know Netflix, great business, from the ashes of Blockbuster into the new world, great business. They posted up a job or some job postings for AI and machine learning kind of roles. Massively, huge salaries up to like $800,000. It's like, I think we should probably go and do that. It's a great idea.
I did think about jacking this in and just applying for the role.
I applied earlier, so got rejected. Not surprised. It was the shorts, isn't it? They asked me to stand up, and that was it. So, but in the world of where we are at the moment, obviously cost of living, there's tech talent squeeze and so on. But particularly when Hollywood and creatives are pretty much on strike, and not the only part, but a central plank of that is actually down to rights and AI and where usage is going. So that to me is massively clotted.
And pay.
And pay.
So when you're advertising a 700, 800 grand a year job.
I'm not getting paid.
Yeah.
I'm on strike.
Yeah.
There's no creative coding, and there's you're pushing really hard on this.
Yes.
That's clotted in my book. It's a misstep for a big brand.
Yeah. It's almost like they don't have a PR department. I mean, the term I would use would probably be clusterfuck. That would be the best description of it. Yeah. I mean, out of interest, right? Just to see what it would come up with, I put this into ChatGPT. I said, I work at Netflix. We're advertising a role. It's 800 grand. There's some stuff going on in Hollywood, by the way. Bit of context. Strikes, overpay, and AI. Give me some feedback on what I should do. Came back instantly with a 12-point list of things to think about and recommendations. And it finished saying, if done thoughtfully with empathy, then you may be okay. And I don't think they quite got that, did they? When they posted the job.
That missive just it got lost in translation somewhere, didn't it?
Got completely lost, didn't it? So,
which is bad, isn't it? Considering I'm sure there's brilliant roles there, great company, I'm sure, to work for. But if the narrative around your amazing opportunities is what a misstep, or it is a clusterfuck.
I think they shortly changed the job description afterwards, actually, by the way, and maybe removed the salary and removed the AI bit. Yeah, they updated it. Yeah,
and actually, Roy's applied for it, so the job's gone anyway. Fair enough. Thanks, Netflix.
Oh dear.
Bad AI.
Switching it to things that are quite interesting, maybe more good AI.
Yeah.
There's been a series of sort of movie-like trailers produced by, hopefully I'm not doing them a disservice, relatively small content creators. using a combination of tools. And this is, the likes of Runway, Midjourney, CapCut, a few others. And what they've done is they've managed to sort of wrap a little process around these tools, to tool chain, which is what we talk to clients about in terms of using them effectively, to understand the strengths and weaknesses, and to produce some sort of 2 to 3 minute movie trailers, which, while they're not Hollywood, they're pretty fucking impressive, right? For somebody with 1,000 followers on Twitter who's just playing around with these tools and has taught themselves this, they're pretty impressive in terms of what's there, given where we're at and where this could get to. So, did you see any of those, and what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I did see a couple. Well, to be honest, in some of them you're like, fucking hell. Like this is, and we're using some of these tools, and some clients actually down as well are asking about them. It's gotten better very quickly. Back to just Runway, big fan of Runway ML. Back to their Generation 1 back in like kind of beginning of the year, which was really, it looks like an animation that I'd done with a couple of bits of plasticine and a soft egg or something.
And I've seen those, they're bad.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
So it's Gen 2. I mean, not Hollywood, but the things we were doing in these ridiculously simple things in kind of March, April, they've gone. They're so good now.
Yeah.
I mean, where it's going to be in 3 to 6 months. And there's a Picker Labs as well have done some interesting stuff, and Runway. There's a few of them all kind of text to video, as well as where things are going, of course, in terms of multimodal. So your GPTs and potentially Claudes and other models, not just having text to text output, a GPT, into maybe GPT-5 or 4.5, but that multimodal element that's coming in quite soon is going to help, I think, to accelerate that, text to video piece anyway. Yeah. And that will also accelerate the quality. Yeah. So, interesting question back to Hollywood and creativity and agencies and where that goes and what that means for video editors and creatives and artists. There's a big question there, right?
Yeah, big question. And GPT-5, I think they log some patents or something that were picked up, and one of the big ones was obviously using voice within GPT-5.
Absolutely,
voice outputs.
Done the multimodal.
I don't think there's a release date yet. Don't know, but it's coming.
Doesn't seem to be, but I think by stealth anyway, it's likely to be it's already in play. And like I say, when GPT-4 launched, it had finished in terms of its scraping approximately 8 months before that. So you could assume on the same kind of trajectory that is already probably in play, just not released to the public yet.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing with this GPT and OpenAI is GPT bot. You seen that?
No.
So that is, it's really interesting, right? So that is the crawler. So 2 ways of looking at it. So that's GPT bot. It's almost like Google crawler for your website. But they've now come out and shown where the string sits and made it more public, which you could argue is we're being transparent about what we're crawling, and it isn't going to crawl your paywalls and so on and so forth. But the other side of the coin is, well, if I say no, which you can do, does that mean that I'm removed from it if search becomes more prevalent in GPT and so on? And actually, is it a bit like horse and cart? Thanks for all the free content you've given us over the last 5 years to train these models, and now we're making billions of dollars down the line. And from now on, we're not going to take anything unless you tell us. That's okay. So there's an interesting conversation that's blown up a lot online in the last week or two.
Yeah. And that sort of leads in, I guess, to the big conversation around, will we top out with training data, and where is it headed, and will models start to use inputs as training data, or where do we go from here? Yeah. Which is a bigger conversation. So
well, we did have that question, didn't we, on one of the webinars we've done recently?
Yeah.
Which was, what happens when if from GPT-3 to 4 has gone from 10th to 90th percentile in standardized exams like the bar, when you've got an IQ of a 10x that or 1,000,
how do you train it?
How do you train it?
Yeah, trains itself.
It trains itself. Which, is that moving into closer to singularity?
Yeah.
Is that where we're going?
Well, if it can, it will. Right?
It will. Well, we won't have an input into it.
Yeah, we won't know.
Which is a bigger question.
We're already at the point where not everybody, even in the space, working closely with these models, knows how it's doing all the stuff it's doing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's true.
We're not too far from that. Okay. Topic spotlight. This week you read 5 industry reports, and summarise some interesting findings from them, didn't you? I didn't know you could read that much.
I'm still getting over it, to be perfectly honest. I think it was 598 pages in total.
Nice.
I did have some help.
Right.
With some of the tools, but I'll talk about it in a second.
Your daughter helped you, did she?
She
with
did.
Some of the big words.
And my son.
Okay,
and he's 12. And
exactly. Fair enough.
Smarter than me, plainly. He was about 5 years ago, to be fair.
What's this, boy? Computers. That's what that word is.
KUM.
Yeah.
POTE.
Okay.
It's fine.
It's fine.
.com. I'm going to buy it. So this is part of our kind of ongoing research into it. Let's synthesize all the data from the kind of most popular kind of reports from people like McKinsey and Deloitte and KPMG and Accenture, but also look at governmental and World Economic Forum, some of the institutes and more kind of governmental-led things to get a kind of broad view. Some really interesting stats in there. Now, we did this webinar recently, and we opened up with all jobs are going to be destroyed, which was quite punchy, just to kind of set the scene. They're not. But several things have been mentioned. 300 million jobs going, Goldman Sachs, which leads on to really interesting questions around what type of jobs. Are they going to be replaced? Are they going to be augmented? Or are they gone forever? So that's still TBC. We think there's going to be some, definitely in the middle areas are going to go. But it does bring on a kind of unintended, or maybe not first thought principle of where those jobs might be displaced. And that may well end up being in certain genders and certain areas, which I think is something to consider as well.
Well, in those reports, they were looking at things like administrative roles, obviously, personal assistants, there was bookkeeping roles, there was accountancy roles, there was a number of others. But across the board, they were more, I guess, administrative, repetitive task type roles, which you would expect. And in those reports, as you say, the assumption made there was, well, if you look at those roles, there's a higher proportion of women in those roles than men. So if we displace jobs predominantly from those areas, we're potentially going to displace more women from work than we are men, which leads to a bigger discussion around,
education, right?
Education, exactly, and
upskilling.
How do you tackle this? How do you move people? How do you transition them?
Exactly.
All those sorts of things. So, and I think in our experience, running projects at the moment, we have displaced people in some of the projects we've run because we've used technology that would have been used would have been filled by other people, whether it was a photographer or whether it was a shoot location or whether it was something else. So it does make sense. Jobs will be displaced. I think we both sort of believe that long term there's going to be more jobs created than displaced, like we've had in previous iterations of technology changing the world. So, and we probably don't even know what those jobs are right now. We didn't have a whole range of front end developer jobs or app developer jobs in the year 2000.
The internet, so, they're all new jobs, right? Which leads on interestingly to the fact of something we were chatting about earlier in the week around the biggest companies in the world changing, and how 20 years ago, I don't think any of them are the top 10 now, are they? It's mainly technology companies.
I think half of I think it was the Fortune 500. Half of those companies from 20 years ago no longer exist. Now, there'll be multiple reasons behind that, right? Acquisition, mergers,
not keeping up with trends.
Not keeping up with trends, being a big one, and technology and everything else. So that ground moves quickly, and I think that's going to speed up now rather than slow down. I can't see that going the other way.
Yeah, it's going to accelerate. No question. Okay, so second point from the research, and backed up by our experience too in the conversations we're having, is the 4 key areas for business impact for generative AI cover 75% of potential impacts, revenue and kind of cost savings. And they are sales and marketing, customer operations, software engineering, and R&D. Interesting. Now we're seeing definitely 3 of those. I think R&D may be a little bit skewed over here into pharmaceuticals, healthcare, drug discovery, that kind of thing. But we're definitely seeing things in those other 3 sectors, right?
Yeah. Sales and marketing, absolutely. As we've said already, we run projects in that area and we're using the tools. And then I think, software engineering as well, we've used some of these tools for some of our own coding. And, the stats that are out at the moment are today, developers who are using the tools are doubling their productivity. Arc, the investment firm predicts in 2030, developers will 10x their productivity. So, that is a massive leap forward. And you think, well, where does that take us? Well, that does get us to a place where with smaller teams, all of a sudden you can build a lot more, a lot quicker than you ever could before. And so we are more likely to see, I don't know whether it's these one-person billion-dollar companies that people have been talking about. I think we're likely to see 50 to 100 people companies who are able to change the world. We're likely to see a lot more of those because, what you could do today with 100 developers, you can do with 10.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big difference. So big impact on productivity.
Yeah. I think we will see a 3-person billion-dollar company in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, the last one, Instagram was a famous one. 13 people got bought by Facebook for X amount of billion pounds. So, okay, just to wrap up on the last bit, and the other one, which is really interesting, I love these little factoids you get from these research papers. Once your eyes stop being so square and you can actually think straight.
Yeah.
Is the comparison of and the potential forecast of AI GDP annually across the globe. Between 2.1 and 4.4 trillion. It's a big number. What does that actually mean?
About your salary, isn't it?
I turned down the Netflix job.
Right.
So about
okay.
right.
Yeah.
I did. So that's useful.
Okay.
Thanks Netflix. The bonus wasn't enough, and the upside. And to compare that, the UK GDP, total UK GDP, 3.1 trillion.
Right.
So we're talking about another UK plonked into the Atlantic somewhere with all the benefits of and drawbacks of that in the world, done by AI for business impact. So that's an interesting way of putting it.
The kingdom of AI.
The kingdom of AI
Atlantic
is coming.
And
the Pacific, but
it's going to add 3 point of
something in the median
something
area.
in around of 3 trillion
annually,
a year
annually.
Yeah,
big news, right?
Big news.
So we're in the right space.
Okay, good. Okay. So let's just wrap this up with a few announcements. We have some things coming up. We have a new webinar aimed at marketeers.
Yep.
So if you're involved in a marketing team, if you're involved in managing a brand, you need to come along to this. This is where we're going to take you through how you can supercharge your brand with AI. We're going to take you through real world examples and case studies where we've worked with clients, and we'll show you how we've worked with clients, the process we've used, and the staggering amounts of money we've managed to save clients in these areas. So we've got that coming up. That is in September, I think the 12th of September. We'll put a link in for that. What else have we got?
So on Generate.com, we've also got a policy download guide. So we're having loads of conversations with clients currently about policy, which we could talk about. But there's a guide we've got, which is Generate.com/policy guide. Go and have a look at it. It'll give you some tips and some ideas and some notes and Q&As around thinking around your business AI policy, which is going to become more and more important as we go through the second, third and fourth quarters of the year.
Yeah, get you started. Brilliant. All right, that's a wrap.
That is a wrap.
Episode 5. If you're still here and you haven't been put off by Roy's legs, well done. I mean,
the hat's coming.
That's
if not episode 6, episode 7. I might even show a leg quickly. This will turn us from U rating to R rating, surely.
Yeah. That might get caught out by the YouTube.
That's it. Thanks for listening and watching, everyone. We're Generate. See you next time.